The women of the WWE show us what professional wrestling is supposed to look like. Welcome to the Golden Shovel Wrestling Podcast, your weekly WWE podcast where we sometimes like to ask, what are we even doing here? Let's get in it. So, as you may have noticed, I am in the hosting chair this week. I am Ross. Saunders cannot be with us due to some technical difficulties, but we do have our other guest, co-host, whatever you want to call it, with us, Daz. Daz, how are you tonight?
Yes, great to be here. I really feel for our host in his villa in Spain. I really feel for him that he's not able to come and join us tonight. But yes, I am looking forward to a packed pod all about women's wrestling.
I am sure he is suffering in the sun, as we would imagine he will be. So yeah, as Daz alluded to, we have had, certainly since we started the pod, probably the best weekend of wrestling, if you include the Friday, Monday, that we've had. So much so that one of these events we can't even fully cover. We will not be able to touch on Great American Bash tonight because there's just quite simply too much to get through. But that was as fantastic as both the Smackdown before Saturday Night Main Event was actually much better than we had given it credit for, but Evolution stole the show, absolutely. However, we will get to that because we should probably start from where the fun began from the main roster, which was Saturday Night Main Event, which had a few interesting matches on it. We thought that it had the potential to be okay, but we thought it had the potential to slip up. Daz, what was your one match that was the biggest highlight for you from Saturday night?
Oh, there's a couple. I loved to see Jacob Fatu. Solo Sikoa. I in my head, he still had the title. No, Solo Sikoa showing out when Saturday was really, really good. That's Big Jim Uso's first singles title match in his tenure with the company. And he grabbed his chance. I thought he looked brilliant in the match. I thought the two of them complemented each other really, really well. We knew that Orton and McIntyre was going to be a good wrestling match. We spoke about that. And we'll no doubt touch on the shenanigans out with that. And I'm surprised about the length of time we got out of Bill Goldberg in his match with Gunther.
Yes.
But the one that sticks out the most for me was Solo and Jimmy.
Yeah, so let's get started then with that one. We'll jump straight into there. So, as you say, Solo Sikoa up against Jimmy Uso, a match that we were, well, maybe a little bit surprised it was made, but, altogether, it follows along the story, and ultimately, that is what we are interested in here. The Golden Shovel is it's not just necessarily the day-to-day, week-to-week matches, but it's about where it's taking us. And definitely this match feels like it's been a very good vehicle for the storyline to move forward. Do you think that this had the right outcome and the chaos that we all love on here? Do you think it had that element that this storyline needs to keep it moving on to SummerSlam?
I mean, see, when you book any member of the Fatus or the Usos or just any of them in a match, you know that it's very unlikely going to be one-on-one for the entirety of the match. I thought this was a really good booking to help elevate Solo's title run. I think it's a good step up for Solo to show that he can hang with a guy like Jimmy Uso and helps build him towards being a believable champion. Because I said this there's that many PLEs, I've even forgotten where he won it. But when he won the US title, I did say that he'll come out on top in the feud at SummerSlam, and I still believe that. I still believe he'll go over against Fatu. I love the whole MFT. I think I touched on this last week as well. I think he's got the right stable round about him. Hikuleo or Tagalonga is still looking a bit awkward back there, but he'll find his feet. He just kind of in the background at times, but he'll find his feet. I thought they booked this one well. The right person won. And I'm really, really intrigued to see how this storyline plays out. I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
It will be interesting. I think that whilst, yes, it has a little bit of a reminiscence of, just doing the bloodline once more, it certainly seems that there might be a little bit of an interesting dynamic here. My personal highlight is the fact that he keeps on calling them my MFTs, so my family trees.
My family trees.
That's right up there.
Yeah.
Once he cuts that out, I think this will be fine. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. There wasn't a moment on the Saturday Night Main Event card where something wasn't below like a 6.5 out of 10. Like there was some pretty solid matches, and I think this is definitely one of those ones where, yeah, we kind of have a rough idea of where the payoff is going to be at SummerSlam, and if it might go beyond that, obviously the jury's still out. But yeah, another solid match, and maybe it was a good sign that this wasn't just going to be a quick one and done thing with this event.
Yeah.
So we can then speak about the match that I personally was a bit sceptical of, because in general I am a little bit iffy when it comes to celebrities being involved in matches. Now, we have a policy on here that if a celebrity can take a bump, different story. Unfortunately, I do not believe that Jelly Roll has taken a bump yet. He has dragged some people's hair though, so we can definitely say he's done that. But we had Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre, Jelly Roll in his corner. Did we expect to see Jelly Roll involved a little bit more in this, or was it really being left for what the now announced match is that he's involved in at SummerSlam, where they're running this back in some fashion?
It's a strange one because all the news reports I've seen in the build-up to Saturday Night Main Event and his appearance in Smackdown on Friday night was that Jelly Roll's been practicing for his in-ring debut. And on the Friday night, we got the push, and then Saturday night, we got another push. But then we did get the punch, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And I actually thought he ate the Claymore quite well. I think he sold it quite well, given he's a rookie. A serious rookie, given he's got no in-ring experience at all. But I'm intrigued. I don't really know how it's going to work. It doesn't really make sense to me. He's not like Bad Bunny. I don't think he's actually got the ability to go in the ring.
Yeah.
So it's probably just going to be a spot or a couple of spots for Jelly at SummerSlam. I was actually pleasantly surprised with this match because we all knew where it was headed. We all knew the outcome of this match. And unfortunately, we're booking two of... In fact, in our podcast, it's three of the best guys in the business right now are being booked into this celebrity tag match.
Yes.
Because we are high on Logan Paul. We've said our thoughts on Drew and Randy a million times over. And I know that Saunders will be angry if I don't say it. Saunders is absolutely furious with how we're booking Drew in particular as part of this tag team. I do think it's just a buy time scenario until they can work out what to do next. But that will also feed into the Seth Rollins conversation we'll no doubt have. But for me, the match itself, Randy and Drew put on what I expected Randy and Drew to put on. Logan's interference as a heel is perfect. Yeah, I was happy with the outcome. I predicted Orton because it was the only one that made sense to me if they wanted it to go to another show. So, yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think the match was not too bad, and it was a little bit better than I expected. I think you do touch on a point that is a very good one to bring up, is that we can maybe put someone like Logan Paul to one side because, he's a part-timer. So you can put someone like that in. It's not necessarily a throwaway because there is going to be a sequel, as you said, at SummerSlam. But like a somewhat throwaway feud. I do feel that, Randy and Drew are slightly hard done by being put in this, because it's the kind of gimmick, isn't it? It's a little bit gimmicky. I understand that this has been a thing in the WWE since probably before even I was born. Like, there was always instances where you would have celebrities. I mean, Donald Trump, before he was president of America, was, involved in stuff, like, and all the things in between that.
Yep.
So it's not new. I suspect that now that there is a potential Seth Rollins shaped hole in the main event scene, things might get a little bit interesting. They might be a little bit, flying by the seat of your pants type style. Maybe these guys are only in here till SummerSlam, and then something happens at the immediate conclusion of that match that makes you sit up and gain a little bit of attention.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see. But the match itself was decent. I think prediction wise, I think we all thought that would be. Well, I think we thought it was likely to be Orton. I think I went Drew, but as a homer, I just kind of
it
went
was
for
a
that,
homer.
but
It
couldn't
was.
really
Yeah.
say it with much conviction. I'm happy enough to give it one more. Just hopefully it's another improvement, and then we can figure out what to do with these guys, because Randy's no spring chicken. So we need to start using him at some point. Otherwise, he's no longer with us, and not in terms of he's going to die or anything. But,
R.I.P.
he's not
Randy
going to be a
Orton. There you go.
professional
A Golden Shovel
exclusive.
Randy Orton passes away.
So that's 2 of the 4 matches on this week's Saturday. Not quite as mid main event.
Yeah.
It was decent. We move on to then. This is where I think we both have some thoughts on what happened in this match. So we have LA Knight against Seth Rollins. We all thought this was a bit of a strange match, and that LA Knight was just suddenly getting involved in this scene while also simultaneously being involved in the US title scene at the same time. Match itself is progressing reasonably well. I thought it was pretty decent up until that point. Both guys had some good back and forth. And then Rollins goes off of the middle rope and then inexplicably injures his knee, goes down in the corner. The referee does not throw up the X. Interestingly, he's speaking to the referee, he's communicating with the Oracle and outside the ring, Paul Heyman. He's also communicating with LA Knight. If you go back and watch it, he's actually sort of communicating with him that this match has got to finish. And then, interestingly for me, LA Knight then actually hits him with the finish, and then 1, 2, 3 pins, and then leaves very quickly. Are you of the opinion that some of people online are thinking that this might not be all that it seems?
I mean, I can't make my mind up, right? There's an optimist in me and there's a pessimist in me, and I'll give you the optimist view first of the situation. It didn't look planned. It looked spontaneous. It was a weird time in the match to throw the spot up because it was early on. So had the match went deep and then they had thrown it in, I would be more likely to believe it would be a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
There was no X from the ref, which I understand, but there was a genuine look of, and I know that's a pinch of salt because the guy's such a good actor, but there was a genuine look of concern in the face of Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. And the optimist in me thinks that Seth gave LA Knight his flowers and let him finish the match because it's the type of win that can help you really get over into the main event picture. And I think that's the audible frustration you get from LA Knight at the end of the match, is that he's furious about that's how it had to go over. Yeah. Seth was always slated to win that match. We spoke about it last week on the pod. Mm-hmm. And prior to, and when Saturday Night Main Event finished, I was probably in the camp of this is a legitimate injury, but who knows how serious it is. Was it preemptive so that he didn't wrestle on that leg and make it worse? Was it just a preemptive shoot and say, look, it's a Saturday Night Main Event, nobody cares if LA Knight pins you? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was probably in the camp of it's a legitimate injury, or they were protecting him from a legitimate injury. Mm-hmm. We've immediately wrote him off TV without going too much into Raw, because we will touch on Raw towards the end of the pod. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that I've seen online from a man who is on the list of Daz suggests that this was a work, and that this angle had been planned. I would be shocked if they planned it for that stable, given Braun Breaker doesn't win the gauntlet match on Monday. So it would be weird if that was your plan for the stable and you're booking the injury angle. The other thing that strikes me as odd about it being a work is that it now becomes clear why it would be a work, given who did win the gauntlet match. It now makes sense to me why it would be a work.
Yes. And
it's pretty much been radio silence since Saturday night on Seth Rollins' actual condition. There has been no... Because with a star like that, you would expect immediate scans, immediate output. Somebody somewhere must know if this guy's got a long-term injury, even if it is assholes that are on the list of DAS. So I
Wonder who that
really
could be.
don't know with this one. I'd like to think the optimist in me thinks that this is unfortunately a legitimate injury, or they were protecting him from a legit injury, so he might be out short term. Because mostly because of Paul Heyman's reaction and LA Knight's reaction, it didn't look scripted for they two. And you can see the ref in actual conversation, and it looked very impromptu. So
Yeah.
it did look like they got an audible to finish the match and just pin him there and then. So I'm interested to get your thoughts though, because I've gone back and forward on this since Saturday night, I'll be honest.
It's a really, really fascinating one for me because every point that you make there is very valid. Like, if this was a work, you would think that certainly at least LA Knight would know, or the ref, one of them, would know what's going on. Now, yeah, they could all be in on it, and it could all be very, very, like, well done, well executed, but there is that genuine look of confusion from LA Knight. There is a level of concern from the referee, not enough to throw the X up, but enough to be going, are you okay? And it's not just a quick tap when someone's on the deck just to make sure that they're all good.
Yeah.
There's a few things that for me that make me think it's a shoot. And it's because, well, one, when you go, I watched it back, so I don't tend to be up to watch these. I tend to watch them whenever I can. But the first thing I actually saw when I opened social media the Sunday morning was the clip of the injury. And when you go back and watch it, Michael Cole immediately says, "Oh, the knee's buckled. Had that knee buckled on Monday night." He says it immediately. Now, when we had the instance where Liv Morgan got injured, where that was not a work, that shoulder popped out, there was a genuine, "Oh, she looks really hurt. Oh, that's not good at all." And there was that level of concern in his voice. Cole plays it off, and it's very like, that's interesting. It's now since came out that he was apparently being sent, like within an hour and a half, 2 hours, there was apparently rumours circulating that he was out for 10 months. Now, couple that with being said that he was being sent to, I think there's a medical facility somewhere in Birmingham in America, where it's the one that baseball stars in particular are sent to when their career is going to pasture, in effect, when they're being told their injury is really bad, right? However, if you do your ACL or you do your MCL on a knee, you do not need a scan. A doctor can normally have a quick feel and go, "Yep, that's done." And then that's where those can feed out. But a PCL, you need a scan to find out exactly what the situation is. It's now since came out tonight that it's 4 to 5 months, is what some dirt sheets are saying. But you do have man on the list, Meltzer, claiming that on Thursday night there was some rumours that this was going to be a spot that was done. I think that because the focus it was given on Monday night really does make me think it could be a shoot, but I don't want to be worked into that. There was just there was some forceful apologies. They made a whole situation of it backstage, which we can very briefly touch upon it here. Paul Heyman is asked backstage, like, what's going to happen with the briefcase? And he's like, Seth Rollins has this contract for the next 12 months.
Yep.
It is not an issue and it's not a concern right now. Which is interesting
could be 4
because...
months, 5 months, could be 10 months. Do you know what because
exactly.
it is valid for that calendar year. We know that Tripp isn't a fan of the briefcase anyway.
Yeah, we all suspect that, don't we?
Yeah, I'll give you one final thought on it. What if it was supposed to be a shoot and he is actually injured? What if both sides of the story are true? If that might have always been the intended case, but what if he has actually popped his knee?
That's a possibility. I mean,
both sides could be a
situation where, yeah, like they could be that they tried to write him off until SummerSlam to make that cash in really hit. Because we'd spoken previously on the pod where these failed cash-ins and the teases of cash-ins, it was a little boring. That's a guaranteed way to get it. And then, yeah, maybe he has actually done a 3-4 month injury, which is not enough to be a serious problem. You know, the Bronze will step up, as we've seen. And it looks like they might be okay for a while on their own with Heyman sort of leading the charge with the briefcase. And there's nothing stopping Rollins coming back in a month or two when he can walk, at least, if he's actually injured and being a voice.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd love to know what people at home think. Like, we have the link in the show notes if you're listening on, Apple, or you're listening on Spotify, wherever you get your pod. We have a fan mail link that you can put in. You can send in an SMS. Let us know what your thoughts are at home, because we are very split. I know that Saunders is 100% shoot. You're leaning towards, this is actually legit.
I'm leaning
I
towards
think
legit.
I'm sort of teetering towards it being a work, but I'm also not 100% in there. But either way, it's ultimately, even if it's not a work, it's kind of weirdly had an unintended consequence of, we're all kind of now like, oh well, what's going to happen now? Like, is someone like CM Punk going to step into that hole? Is LA Knight going to be elevated once more, or one of these other guys going to move over, or the Braun's going to step up? Ultimately, this void might, dare I say, make things a little bit more exciting for a few months.
Let's hope so.
It's always possible. But let us know. Certainly at home, you can find us on TikTok, The Golden Shovel. You'll find us on YouTube if you're listening to this in audio and you want to watch it. If you're watching on YouTube and want to listen to us in audio, go find us on your favourite podcatching platform. Search The Golden Shovel. We will appear. We'd appreciate 5-star reviews, follow us, subscribe, whatever the terminology is, wherever you are. It'd be much appreciated. So then we'll go to Saturday night's final match, the one where I believe I said I'd rather walk over hot coals than watch this, but I am going to swallow my pride just a little bit and say this was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I will be honest, I will hold my hands up. This was okay. I think that they did better than what I thought they could with Goldberg, 58-year-old man, who, to be fair, did look in good shape. Probably Gunther's the only guy that you could work that kind of style of match with at his age. I don't know what you thought about the match as a whole, Daz, but obviously we knew the one way that it had to go, it did go that way. But Goldberg maybe does deserve a little bit of credit.
I don't disagree. The guy does look in good shape. Connor, who's a friend of the show, actually referenced this to me in Discord the other night. What is that man eating at 58 years old? Because he looked unreal.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah, I mean, the whole chat about it was, we're going to get 6 minutes and Gunther's going to be breathing out his arse by the time... Goldberg's going to be breathing out his arse by the time we get there. I was really impressed by the pace and the match, all things considered. Mm-hmm. Goldberg done really well. I mean, it's a big ask for Gunther to try and make Goldberg look better than he actually did, and I thought he achieved that. And it makes total sense why they put the belt on him instead of Jey Uso, because Jey Uso could not have wrestled that match with Bill Goldberg. That's not slighting Jey Uso. That's just, it's a certain mould required. There's a certain mould required to carry him through a match like that. And at 58, to watch him jackhammer a guy the size of Big Water.
Oh yeah, it was a little impressive.
I mean? It was impressive. Don't get me wrong, his knee almost exploded at the thought as soon as he dropped him. But no, they booked it well. There was the near miss at the end where, is it actually going to happen? Gunther chokes him out. It's probably the right way to let Goldberg go out on his sword, no taps, just pass out. I thought they booked it really, really well. As I've been critical of Bill Goldberg on the show, this isn't WWE's doing, because this is cable TV in the States. And as bad as I feel for the guy, it's fucking hilarious that they cut him off in the middle of his retirement speech. I think that is fucking outrageous. That is crazy. But they must have had an episode or something to show immediately after. And it's not like Netflix where you can run over. Do you know what I mean? So I did feel a bit for Bill, but I don't really have much else to say in the match. Gunther helped Bill get his flowers, because he does deserve them. Let's be honest, the guy's peak was a bit of a monster. So thank you, I suppose, to Bill Goldberg, but please, for the love of God, stay retired.
Yes, I think that is a sentiment we can all get behind on this podcast. But fair play to him, 100 plus odd matches at one point, undefeated in his, in his heyday. He did not look great in his last couple of matches when he's done this, but this was much better. So clearly there was like a chemistry, and there's a bit of extra prep that he's put in. Yeah. So 100%, go enjoy your retirement. Do not step in a ring, and once again, please. Which I'm now going to basically flirt in and out of Raw here is probably the easiest way to do it. Obviously, we will get to the one final main event of Raw, and that's going to be the last thing we do on the pod today. But we're going to then take where this match took us then into the sort of start of that, where you have Gunther's promo on Monday night to set up into the gauntlet. We won't speak about the match itself and about who went over. I thought his promo was excellent. Like I know that they don't know how to book him when he's not a champ, but there's something about that man with a belt around him and that microphone. He is just an elite level heat. And I don't know if, again, it was just the crowd were coming off of a really hype weekend. The crowd were red hot and they just bring everything up that like extra 5-10%. But he really impressed me again, as he has, to be fair, throughout this return to the belt, even if it's only been a few weeks. So,
I mean, the guy is at Aura Farms, is for the young team who listen to the pod. Right, I'm speaking to the kids here. The guy at Aura Farms, especially when he's got the mic. It's funny, right, because he's undeniable in the ring. He's old school. He's the ring general. Do you know what I mean? He's so good at what he does. And I feel like he would be the face of any other wrestling company other than WWE. And I think what he lacks is not the showmanship, because that's the wrong thing. Probably a bit of flair is what's missing for him. See when he cuts a promo, he's incredible. He really, really is. And he tells a story in the ring, but it's a wee bit more akin to indie wrestling, or even like the type of wrestling you got in the old black and gold NXT. The guy deserves to be world champion. I think he totally deserves it. And I think the reason he is world champ right now is because he didn't want to book Jay and Bill Goldberg. And Goldberg's last match was always going to be for the title. So I'm interested to see how long he has it. I have my thoughts on how long he has it based on the Seth Rollins conversation and the pending conversation about the gauntlet match. I do have my thoughts on when he will drop that title. But yeah, it was a good promo on a Raw that was focused around the women, which no doubt we will allude to now when we speak about Evolution, but heavily featured the women on Raw, which I was really happy about. But yeah, it was a good promo for Gunther.
It really was. It was a very, very good promo, and I'm very glad to see that, you know, this storyline is going to have some interesting movements in the coming weeks. But what we'll do is, that is us wrapped up Saturday Night Main Event, sprinkled a little bit in a Raw. We will come back to the really interesting bits of Raw at the end. But now we're probably going to give this a fair bit of airtime, because
deserves it.
I was, like everyone else on this podcast, a lot of the IWC at home slating how they've prepared for this event. And I think we all were in agreement that a lot of these women on this card, with the exception of one or two matches, had been hard done by with the booking coming in. But my God, did they roll their sleeves up and go, we're not going to let that stop us. This was easily the best event we've had this year. I don't think there's anything controversial around that. I'm glad that you agree. It was superb. Because, and it might just be something as simple as the pacing. Having these matches on the card, it flew by. It was an absolutely fantastic event from start to finish. And I don't really know where else to start other than at the very beginning with the first match with the triple threat. You know, we had Becky, Lyra, Bayley. And what is actually most interesting to me is not necessarily the match itself was fantastic, but our sunning himself not here tonight compadre actually predicted the finish.
Yeah, got it to
damn near to a T. Very impressive.
Good.
That is one of the most impressive pins I think I've seen in a while. That's so smooth.
Crucifix. I've not seen a crucifix for a while.
Oh yeah. Do you think then, obviously I think all three of these women coming out with an insane lot of credit, do you think that the right person went over in the end?
Yes. I wanted it to be Lyra. I said that in last week's pod. That's who I predicted would win it. And it's the only thing I changed in Saunders' booking was the winner. I thought Lyra would have snatched it away from Becky and Bayley, but I can have no real complaints about the match itself. The match was always going to be a banger. It had the three elements to make it a really, really good wrestling match. The booking was great. The way in which Becky wins is really, really good. She just totally steals it away. And I think the right person goes over based on, again, Monday night. We follow it up with one of these two will go again at SummerSlam with Becky. I'm surprised. I thought it would have pivoted into another triple. There is still time for that to happen. But they did have a clear-cut number one contenders match for it last night. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued. Just on the pacing of the show, that's really, really, really good that you mentioned that. They've brought out this new format for the PLEs since TKO took over, and they abandoned it on Sunday, and it felt a lot more digestible on Sunday the way the PLE ran. It went Joe and Steph to a match, to Joe and Steph to a match, to Joe and Steph to a match, and it was so much easier to digest and watch, and it did not feel like a 3.5 hour show. Did not feel like that at all. It felt
I was
like a breeze.
Stunned that it was that long.
Yeah.
It did not feel like it at all.
The quality of the product benefited from it massively. But yeah, on the triple threat match, I touted this that it was going to be match of the night potentially. We know that it was blown well out of the water, but that's not a slight on these three because they put on a damn good wrestling match.
Oh, they really did. This was kind of what we all hoped it would be, but I think we can all also agree that there is, even if this becomes a triple threat once more, which I would happily watch that again. There's some room there. They haven't absolutely hit that ceiling. What a fantastic way to start off what could be like a potential mini series of matches, and in this event as a whole.
Becky is going to be. I'll be honest. Becky and every card and rotate the title between the three of them.
Some kind of combo of that.
Yeah,
I would love that. Becky's going to be one of those superstars that people will be very sad when she's gone, but they won't know it until it happens.
Yeah, definitely.
She was, again, absolutely excellent in this. She plays into it big time on Monday night, coming out in Hogan's colours. Just
dressed in the Hogan colours, superb.
That's heel work at its finest. And yeah, long may it continue. Like, the crowd were right into it right from the off. This is awesome chants all the way through it. I feel like there's probably some people at home who are chanting it on their own. It was just fantastic. Super creative finish. There was a few moments where even the superstars themselves say, I think I've won this, and then someone kicks out at 2 3/4. Just fantastic storytelling.
Yep.
Give us more. Give us so much more of this. So then when you continue on from that and you're like, well, how can they go from here? And the pace then, as you said, keeps on going. We jump to the desk for a few minutes at the top of the ramp, and then we're straight into JC Jane versus Jordan Grace, where Blake Monroe accompanies her to the ring.
Yeah.
Fallon Henry and Jasmine Nix are on JC Jane's side. I must admit, I thought that whilst we were accurate in our assessment that Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace sells tickets, I did not think that they were going to pull the trigger as quickly as they did here. But I really, really liked it. Like, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the way that this match was sort of like set up and booked as a whole. But I thought you could even see that they sell the surprise of Blake Monroe doing this so well that it just added that little bit extra.
Yeah, I've said it from the start that, I mean, you know, I'm a huge fan of women's wrestling in general, but NXT is probably, not that I don't watch it, I've been really interested by the current situation because similar to, I think it's Wade Barrett's actual commentary as she won the match, I've always seen JC as a little bit of a, and to use an authority term here, a bit of a B+ player. I've never actually thought that she could be, and I mean that, and I never ever thought that she'd be able to really make the step up and be a convincing world champion at that level. She obviously goes over against Vicaire to help Vicaire get the push onto the main roster, and you think that's really, really good. What can she do with it? And I think on a show of that magnitude, to go and pin Jordan Grace, albeit there's interference from Blake Monroe, it really, really does elevate her as a top star in that division now. So I'm really, really happy for JC because in previous years that title would have been taken right off her. and put on the muscle-bound Jordan Grace. I am surprised they pulled the trigger, I'll be honest, on Blake Monroe so soon. It would have been, if JC was going to win, I thought it would maybe have been more a little bit of an accident that's caused Jordan to get rolled up and the tension start to fray. But we must have immediate plans for this. We must have something that we've got booked for these two, and they want to kick it off straight away. And I don't watch NXT on a Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever night it airs, but I can tell you something, I'll be tuning in.
This will be
especially for that
fascinating to
content.
see.
Yeah.
To see the fallouts. Obviously, we have the moment where she's pushed, Jordan Grace has moved into the ropes, and then Blake Monroe grabs the title, whacks her over the back. She doesn't really know what's happened, and then she continues on. Obviously, Blake Monroe, when she was in AEW, like the entire run, admittedly, it wasn't a particularly long run, but her run accumulated in her being finishing as like in effect the glamorous one, and she was this heel. So it was really interesting, you know, from my perspective, to see when she came into NXT and she had the look. She changed the name. I think by all accounts her niece liked the name, so that was why she changed it, which I thought was that's a nice touch. But she wasn't a heel, but she was clearly a little bit of long-term thinking, and then has went, and they've just went immediately. It's going to be fascinating to see. And yes, I think Jacy Jane does deserve a lot of credit. She worked the match really well. Like she, a little bit of dirty tactics, slowed the match down, which is what any good heel would do in that situation to try and level out a playing field, which makes Jordan Grace look good. Like, you know, it makes her seem like, you know, okay, I really need to do something here to get this one over. I cannot decide how the next chapter of this will continue on, because there is now, in effect, there's 3 women here involved. Plus, there's obviously 2 people where a faction can split. This is going to be fascinating to see where this continues on in the next few weeks.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what do you think's next for Jacy Jane? Because, as I say, I don't watch the weekly product in NXT, so I don't know how closely involved she is with Blake Monroe specifically. I don't know how much of a build this title match got, but did we potentially see in the Women's Battle Royal match the next contender for that title, do you think?
Potentially. We potentially did. It's very interesting to me because of the fact that there hasn't really been a tease towards Jacy Jane and Blake Monroe. It has been very Jacy Jane, Jordan Grace, and oh look, there's a Blake Monroe in the background, and oh look, she's in her corner, and then all of a sudden now she's involved. Jacy Jane's done well with this title. She probably is a transitional title, because I think that you made a valid point last week that Blake Monroe's probably going to end up getting this and running with it for a while until she then steps up. Jordan Grace is supposed to be a SmackDown superstar and then has not appeared on there in weeks. This is the start of maybe transitioning out. I can't remember what the NXT event is that's on at SummerSlam, but this is probably not going to be on that card. This is probably on Night 1's card anyway.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see where it goes, because there's about 3 or 4 different avenues that they can take. But we'll come back to the potentially intriguing another addition to this scene. There's someone who also surprised me in that match, and surprised a few people, I think, and how she got on. So, continuing on from that, we then go back to the desk. Shout out as well, Mark Henry in the crowd. No shout outs for Vicky Guerrero. Not having that.
No.
Don't need to hear that voice again.
Vicky Guerrero, do you know what happens when you make those types of claims about your daughter? Do you know what happens, Vicky Guerrero? You just made the list.
And for people, audio listeners at home, that was Daz is going to go away, get his notepad and pen, and add on to the ever-growing list. So we've continued on in the event. We're actually making some okay time, but we might need to quicken up a little bit. So we have this as the 4-way tag match. We've got Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss, Sol Ruca and Zarya versus the Kabuki Warriors. They've done the same spot, and I think it's the last 3 out of 4 matches with Sol Ruca and Zarya that takes them out on this, with the Zarya keeps on spearing Sol Ruca, but yet everyone's okay with it afterwards, and no one bats an eyelid. Tickles me somewhat. This match was great for one reason that I don't think I've actually seen anyone other than, I believe, the writer for Bleacher Report. Whoever writes the Bleacher Report results and reviews in particular pointed this out. I thought was interesting. Did you notice the reaction that I have not seen probably for years now that Charlotte Flair was getting from the crowd.
You've stole my content. Yeah.
Great minds.
I've got a point for each team in the match. And I'll start with the
Floor is
champs.
yours.
I'll start with the champs. The reigning champs and continuous champs. The chemistry they two have is better than the chemistry she has with Liv Morgan. They're a better tag team. But that's because
They're really
Liv's a solo
very good.
superstar. She is.
Mm-hmm.
Raquel has rejuvenated her career, and I don't know if it was initially planned that they would keep the belts, but my God, do they deserve to keep the belts? I thought the two of them were excellent together. Raquel looks the real deal, and I'm really, really happy for her. I'll move on to Kabuki Warriors. Split them up as soon as possible, please. They do not need to be together. Kairi will hold Asuka back in ring, unfortunately. Asuka should be in the main event picture. That's where she deserves to be. They were probably thrown together as a tag team that makes sense to try and make this a fatal four-way, but they don't need long-term booking as a tag team. Speaking of breaking up tag teams, you've hit the nail on the head. This has happened a few times with Sol Ruka and Zarya. I'm really intrigued to see if this is going to be the North American title picture, if it's going to be Zarya and Sol Ruka, because that's the type of accident that should split up a tag team, is taking the chance to take the main tag team gold away from the main roster. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It's a question mark, isn't it? Just because obviously we had Sol Ruka retains the Speed Championship in the midweek, and then they retain the tag titles.
Yep.
And they've got, then she's got the other belt. She's basically juggling at this point off at one side. Like, these belts are going to have to eventually drop, and things are going to have to change. But yet it also still kind of works.
Yeah.
And it's really intriguing. It's fascinating.
And my thoughts on the final team, Bliss and Charlotte Flair. I go back and forward on Charlotte Flair at times, because sometimes when I watch a promo work, or I'll use Mania as an example, there was a lot of suggestions she was sandbagging Tiffany Stratton, right? That could have been ring rust. It could have been intentional. I don't know, right? Since she's been teased and teamed with Alexa Bliss, she's been so much more relaxed. She looks more at home. She looks more comfortable. And I feel like the bad reaction she's gotten as a result of Vince McMahon's really poor booking in the past for her, giving her so many title reigns in such a short period of time, turns the fans against you. There's just, because you're seen as, like Becky is right now, Becky's viewed as Becky Hogan because every time she appears, she gets a title. Doesn't matter what title that is.
It's
and
true.
Charlotte suffered for that for a bit. I was really, really happy for Charlotte. And Sunday night, the pop she got when her music hit was great. The pop she got, the "We Want Charlotte" chants, where they could definitely, yeah. And I don't think even she expected that, but you could see her feeding off it in the ring. I thought the initial pivot for this was that Charlotte would turn heel on Alexa if they didn't win the titles eventually. I think they're going to have to pivot and turn Alexa heel, because Charlotte's really over. That was an insane amount of over, and I don't know if it was a one-off because it was Evolution. She's a horsewoman. I'd be surprised if it was a one-off though, because she was incredibly over. I'm really happy she got her flowers in the night. That she really deserves it, because all the work she's put into women's wrestling alongside
absolutely
Becky, Bailey, and 8-belt Sasha, whatever she is. Yeah, so massive respect to all 8 in the ring, but really, really happy for Judgment Day. But it leaves me scratching my head about what's next for the Judgment Day. I can't work it out.
Yeah, because I mean, we then obviously, you can take then the result of this match on into Raw, where they then beat the Kabuki Warriors, who we do think do need to split up. Really interesting one. Like, yeah, the Kabuki Warriors really are just it almost actually seems to me like the idea might have actually been, because the rumours before this match were there was only going to be 3 teams and then NXT were added. I actually think when you look at it, it was actually a chance that they always wanted NXT, and the thing was, they were like, well, we might as well add a 4th
find another team. Yeah.
And found another team, and that's then the result of this.
Yeah.
Because you're right, these two are good enough one more so than the other, that they can go off and go have their own moments. But like moving back to this match very quickly, we'll then wrap it up and continue on because my God, there's still so much to talk about.
Yeah, I've got lots more to
I
unpack.
think having 8 women in this, but yet still having a situation where every single team and then every single person within their team was able to have a moment or two. Like, yeah, some had more than others, and yeah, Alexa Bliss was obviously going to be the most over person coming into this, and yes, she was. But everyone had a moment. Every multi-woman spot, everyone was hitting their mark. This is probably a match that should go down into like one of the, like, when you're talking come the end of the year or Mania season next season for like your last 12 months, this has got to be one of those matches you think about in like your top 5 of the year. It was so well executed. There wasn't an awful lot that could have been done better in a match with this. And I know that they've kind of went, well, let's just put as much star power as possible in. But it worked. So credit to whoever produced that match. They deserve a
Definitely.
pat on the back. And then, yes, the Judgment Day continue on with their titles. You're right. I don't think they deserve to drop them anytime soon. I have no idea what on earth they're going to do with them.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to see it because they're actually really, really good. And Roxanne stepped into that role superbly. So kudos to her. And then this is where I think I'll tweak it ever so slightly. We'll go for Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. Now, we all kind of thought this might have been the death of Tiffy's reign, but there was a good promo cut on the Friday before. And in fairness, there was a few lines from both where, you know, Tiffy almost kind of stepping into like a sort of bratty, maybe tweener kind of role with some of the lines that, I remember watching you on VHS. To which Trish then replies of, did you hear that term on TikTok?
Yeah.
Very, very good from the pair of them. Trish Stratus seriously impressed me. Like, I don't know the last time it was that she worked a one-on-one match. It cannot have been like
certainly
any
not mainstream for a long time. No.
Yeah, she was very, very good. Looked superb. Were you as impressed with her as I was sitting on the couch watching this?
Definitely. I thought, I said it in last week's pod, why are we booking Trish Stratus in your world title picture? She showed us why. She's still got it. And what I'm really impressed with Trish is that she's evolved, because when she was at the top of her game, it wasn't really wrestling that they were doing. Back then, it was they were divas, etc. Back then, and it was a lot more catty and slappy and hair pulling type things. But Trish always came across. She's Canadian. She always came across more of a purist that wanted to wrestle. So to see her in this era where she gets the ability to do that, she really showed out on Sunday, and I was really impressed by her. The thing I was most impressed by was actually Tiffany Stratton, and the reason being, Trish looked really good. Tiffy made her look even better. There's a couple of spots towards the end of the match where you can clearly see that Trish is tiring, and that's to be expected. And there's a Stratisfaction right at the end of the match.
Off the apron.
Yeah, so where there's one, it's in ring, and you can see that Trish can't get her legs up to the top rope, and you can literally see Tiffy lifting and guiding her towards the rope so that the move comes off and doesn't botch. So to watch a vet be supported by the new generation like that was really, really good. I still don't think it's going to save Tiffy's title reign, although there's a spanner in the works for where I thought that was going as well. But to be fair, I think we all get swerved. Everybody gets swerved for that. So
big time.
I don't know who takes it from Tiffy. But again, we'll probably talk about it when we get to the later segment of this. But yeah, I was impressed by the match. I thought this would have been your 6-7 minute squash, but no.
Yeah, like whilst there was some moments that felt a little bit rehearsed, overall, props to the pair of them. And a quick sort of closing comment that we'll move on. We're definitely going to have to come back to this from next week onwards when we've got more time. They're going to have to turn Tiffy heel at some point because she's far too good on a mic to be the babyface. Just turn her. It'll be great when you do it. Just make it happen, okay?
Yeah.
Listen, someone in the writer's room needs to heal this. Just do it. We still have a few more matches to go through, and I noticed that time is marching on, so we will quickly go into Naomi versus Jade Cargill, which has been a rivalry that has bubbled on and off in recent months, but then just kind of very quickly was given a match on this. Bianca Belair, you called it, had to be involved in this in some way. She was a special guest referee. Not entirely sure if she added much, I will say, but she was there.
No,
and it
she
was,
gave us that really cool moment where the two of them are lying outside after going through a table, and she's going, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" As if I'm the referee. Like, that's the kind of shit I would say if I was referee. I don't think I've ever heard a ref in the Fed say, "Are you okay?" But yeah, other than that, she didn't really add much to the story.
Yeah, but she was there probably just as a, as you say,
It was Evolution. She had to
massive
be
woman
there.
superstar. Had to be there, absolutely. Michael Cole mentioned in commentary this was only the 4th women's no holds barred match ever in WWE history.
Oh, it was a good match as well.
Fun moment. It was a decent match. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they added a bit of violence in that these matches need. We had our Slim Jim table spot, which fantastic. We've all been looking forward to them. Do we think that the stipulation helped or hindered them, though, with how WWE tend to treat blood? It's a little bit PG. Do you think that potentially limited them a little bit?
I'll be honest, No Holds Barred was surprising to me when they announced it as No Holds Barred. But there was enough use of elements around the ring that blood probably wasn't required, and they aren't massive on the use of blood. They'll only use it when absolutely necessary, as you've seen during the Cody's feud with Reigns when The Rock bloodies him up. I thought this match went over really well. We spoke about it last week. The only person that could win was Cargill, because you're booking her into the title picture on SummerSlam, so she's got to win. And the build up to that, obviously, it's not a secret. Naomi gets to pay off Evolution anyway, so it's not really a secret. So both go over on the night. So I don't really have much else to say about this match. It made Jade look better because she needed it. She needed a match like that to help her look like a viable contender.
Yeah, I think that she actually comes out from this looking not too shabby. It was needed a little bit of boost, gave her it, but as you say, Naomi is someone that we will come to in just a few minutes, because we have one other match sandwiched in between the way. The match that we all kind of said was oh crap, we have a lot of superstars, let's just chuck 20 of them in a ring. I counted, it was 20.
Yeah, it was.
But we got a really interesting set of moments. Tatum Paxley's eliminated inside about 20 seconds by Nia Jax. It's just alright, okay, now everyone's heard your name, move on. Kalani Jordan doing the standout acrobatic
Kofi
moment
Kingston's
of the night.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Everyone loves to see them in a battle royal. Who doesn't enjoy that? Nikki Bella gets actually a very decent pop for her.
Yeah.
Her entrance, where it looks like, again, brief touch on Raw, kind of looks like she's potentially been brought in to maybe put over someone like Chelsea Green in the Secret Service. Maybe it looks like that's the reason why that's the program she's going to work to maybe put them over in the end. Obviously, she beat Chelsea Green and then gets beat down by the Secret Service. You're not really sure where that's going. But eventually we whittle down. There was some nice spots, some awkward spots. That is the case when you get 20 people in a ring where some of them will never have worked with each other before. It's unavoidable. But we get to the final four. It was Nia Jax. The final three, was Nia Jax, Lash Legend of NXT, and Stephanie Vicaire, formerly of NXT. Now, this final three did surprise me a little bit. I don't know about you, and I'd love to hear what you've seen as someone who has not watched an awful lot of NXT. But everyone is familiar with La Primera, because you can't not be. She is going to the moon. What did you think of, before the finish itself, what that final three looked like, how they'd got there?
It looked a little bit like a passing of the torch, almost, for Lash Legend. I think that was the company's way of telling everybody this person's the next star, and I feel like that's what they were trying to tell us. They booked her really strongly. If memory serves me correctly, she eliminated Nikki Bella.
I think she eliminates Nikki Bella, and at one point actually lifts up Nia Jax.
Yeah, she basically said, lifts Nia Jax.
which is very
So
impressive.
really, really good. She looked really, really strong. And if you're going to book someone that strongly in a match like that, the perfect person to go over that person is the one with the rocket strapped to their back and Steph Vicaire. So they whoever produced it booked it perfectly at the end. Being able to lift Nia Jax and put on such a good performance, eliminate somebody like Nikki Bella really puts Lash Legend over. But
It
also,
does.
our tails are just short of the mark where we overpush her. And the
Mm-hmm.
person who's been waiting to be pushed to the moon gets their push. So I'm really, really
Mm-hmm.
interested to see what Clash in Paris looks like. Just touching on what you mentioned about a couple of spots, the one that stood out
Mm-hmm.
to me was Nikki Bella and Lola Vice in the ring,
Yes.
because there's been chat about whether or not Brie Bella is going to come back. And
Mm-hmm.
after what happened on Monday night, Steph and Nikki are one person short against the Secret Service, and I have a feeling it will be Lola Vice, who now has history with both of these
That's a
superstars.
very
So,
good shout because we've seen them do this, haven't they? We've seen them
mhm,
bring people in and out the main event scene just to see how they get on. So
yeah,
that's a
and I
very
would
good
like it.
shout.
I
I
would
like
like to
that.
think that that's who it will be. So, no, I thought the battle royal was good. A little bit disappointed we didn't get like 17 known entries and a couple of, because there was a few people
Yeah,
in the crowd.
surprises.
Was Melina asked? I don't know. Hoddy
Mm-hmm.
Wilson was in the crowd. We could have got a couple of good pops and some good
Mm-hmm.
returns and give people some flowers. But in the end, I think you've also got to consider, we always talk about why we're booking the legends. Let's book the young and up and comers.
Mm-hmm.
Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Lash Legend. Yeah, there was a good few of them who impressed from NXT. So,
Mm-hmm.
no, massive, massive kudos to everybody involved in that match.
Yeah, it was very, very nice to get to that final 3, 4, 5, and you kind of see who was left. Lash Legend's been one that's intrigued me because of the fact that in NXT you can tell that there is a serious size differential between her and anyone else. Like,
Mhm.
she's got a very interesting gimmick where the name, like, if you hear the name, you can probably close your eyes and kind of work out what that entrance looks like, what the vibe is. It is actually that vibe, but then when she steps in the ring, she works big. And it's really, really interesting. It's actually a little bit like what we've seen the last few weeks from Raquel Rodriguez. I think was it Kevin Nash actually gave her a bit of stick on, I think it was
Yeah,
like
the
an interview or
laziest
a
worker in the
podcast or something.
business.
Yeah, he said that she's someone who is so big but works so small. Apparently Raquel has literally said in public, when I heard that, when someone like Kevin Nash says that, I sit up and I listen. I think the last 2 weeks
Yeah.
have shown that she's absolutely listened. That's much better. Last Legend's another one of those people, but she actually does work big. She's quite good on the mic. She'll gain more fluidity the longer she's obviously in that system, but I think that's the WWE, I agree, saying, look, this is one to watch out for. And then
Yeah.
Stephanie Vicaire kind of quieting down over the last few weeks. I did predict that she might maybe do something here because the video package suddenly appeared out of nowhere on the Raw before.
Yep.
Absolutely superb. The reaction from the crowd, spot on. She will be fantastic in Clash of Paris. Will she go over? I'm sure we're going to speak about it in the coming weeks leading up to it. It
Definitely.
remains to be
That's one
seen,
for another pod.
but I cannot wait to see where that goes. Which then leads us into our final match, a match that I believe you said to us was match of the year. So I'm just going to
Yep.
sit back and the floor is yours. Take it
Yeah,
away.
match of the year for me. Possibly match of the next 2 years. When they booked this, everybody's been complaining that Rhea gets another title shot, and Rhea's the best. She's the biggest draw in the business. There's no getting around that. She is the biggest draw, especially on the women's side. Io Sky's the best wrestler in the world right now. I don't care what anybody says, and she showed it. And what really impressed me about Io is she's not had a chance to show it for a long time in this title run.
Mm-hmm.
She's not been booked to do an awful lot of wrestling since she won the title. My God, did she put on a show
She did.
on Sunday night? And that's Rhea's right up there with her. A lot of people have complained about the cash in, and this match is taken away from it as an instant classic. I disagree. This felt like the female equivalent of the heist of the century. That it
I
felt like
love
the
that
equivalent of
comparison.
that to me. It felt like the bad guy or bad woman in this instance was coming to steal it away for the two people who deserved to be fighting for that title. And I thought they executed everything perfectly from the second that bell rang to the second Naomi cashes that that contract in. I thought it's 5 stars. I don't care what Big One Dave wants to say about it. It's a 5-star match, and I will die on the hill that right now, as of 22/17 on the 15th of July, Io Sky is the best wrestler in the business.
I mean, there you go, folks. There is the shout. Go into the comments on TikTok. You will have seen this one on TikTok. Get in on the fan mail links. Tell Daz he's right, or suggest another name. But I kind of can't really come back with much of a rebuttal because it was actually today I found myself on Reddit and people were talking about, I don't know if you've ever watched it, I certainly haven't, any of the Lucha Underground stuff that came out 2014 through 2018. There is a spot in one of those matches where she takes a suicide dive, Io Sky, and she's a millimeter away from losing her face. Should have went face first into concrete. She's insane. And it's in a good way. She seems to be able to do these moves consistently where there is a heck of a lot of danger of hurting herself, because it does seem to be ones where it's going to hurt her and not the competitor, but yet she's able to pull it off. No, look, this was damn near immaculate, even down to the ref bump and the way they execute that. These can sometimes look a little clunky, but this was superb. Absolutely fantastic. Rhea Ripley as well, we've got to give her some credit. There's a reason why she's constantly involved in this main event scene. Even just the simple things. Alexa Bliss has also got this exact trait where she's able to add facial expressions that just always encapsulate moments excellently.
Yep.
So then we come to what felt like, certainly I had not even considered when I'm watching this, that there was going to be a cash in as I'm sitting down watching them. So yeah, there's the Eradicator kicks out over the moonsault, and she looks like she's about to make the comeback, and then music hits. And the crowd go absolutely bananas because they know what's happening. There's one guy, if you go back and watch it, that's right at the end of the ramp that is just full on slapping the barricade. He's having the time of his life, and they execute that superbly. You alluded to it earlier, that was a swerve that we didn't expect. Where do you think that picture now goes when you've obviously got the moment that we've seen on Monday Night Raw with these three in the ring? Where do you think that picture goes?
If they want her to be world champion, she pins Rhea Ripley. If they want her to be world champion, she's got to be believable. And Io is the best wrestler in the business right now. Rhea is the one that's impossible to beat unless you're Io Sky. So that's who she has to go over against. She has to pin Rhea Ripley, in my opinion. She pinned Io to win the title. And it was impressive, actually, that they let her pin the champ instead of pinning Rhea. So, yes, I think she will pin Rhea Ripley in the triple threat. I think that's what will happen. For me, it should be main event of night one. I don't think it will be, but it should be. Based on what they put on display at Evolution, if they do not make that the main event, women will never main event a PLE again.
I think that's absolutely spot on, and I think that they might actually give them the main event slot just because of what we saw on Raw, where pretty much every event was on there, involved the best women superstars that they've got on that brand, and they carried on. It could just been as simple as that's a night after Evolution. I get that, but they built momentum for a reason, because they showed up and they showed out, and everyone loved it. So more of the same, yeah. This fantastic match, great finish. Cannot wait to see where they go from here. And that does wrap up our coverage of Evolution, but we aren't done just yet, because we have just a little bit to speak about on Raw. So obviously we've fluttered in and out on Monday Night Raw that came. We have the champion's entrance for Naomi. Thought that was really, really well done, by the way, with the sort of drone camera that flew around.
Yep.
Really liked that. That was a nice bit of presentation. I obviously have the Judgment D beat the Kabuki Warriors. We're not really sure what's happening there. Nikki Bella beats Chelsea Green. We've got some feuds and some irons in the fire later where that might go. But there is one other match we hadn't actually spoke of, was sort of almost giving me what I wanted, which was more of Lyra, and Bayley, where we have a 2 out of 3 falls match. I personally don't really like them because every match goes one each. Name me a 2 out of 3 falls that went 2-0, because you can't name one because there isn't any. But this was great again. This was absolutely superb. And I think they probably booked this one right as well. I don't know about you, but I feel like this one just feels like, yeah, just go put them back in the ring again, because I want to see more. I need more. So give me it.
We've spoken about it at length. Lyra needs to get her title back at the end of this. The payoff, it needs to come back to Lyra. And it will. It started with Becky and Lyra. It will finish with Becky and Lyra, unless they make it triple threat again with Bayley. What's next for Bayley, though, is what confuses me. I don't know where Bayley goes for here. My head and wrestling head tells me book her in a program with Julia, please. But I don't know how that'll work.
That would be good.
That would need to move brands, etc. So, it was a really, really good wrestling match. Again, 2 out of 3 falls, as you say, is always going to go one each and see how it plays out. But for me, the right person goes over because ultimately she gets her title back.
Absolutely. Lyra Valkyria is probably, I don't think it's too crazy of a statement to make, but other than Stephanie Fouquet, she probably is the breakout star that WWE have had this year.
I would argue she's a bigger breakout star than Steph. Not in terms of...
But I think it's a reasonable argument that you can make.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what she's achieved, and Steph isn't a main eventer yet, because she's yet to prove it. I feel like, see, if you booked Lyra Valkyria in the main event against a world champion, she will put on a show. I'm confident of that
has.
I would like to think Steph will as well, but Lyra's shown, especially with Bayley and Becky, two of the biggest names in women's wrestling, that she can go and hang. So, yeah, Lyra the breakout for me, but I mean, Steph could be a world champion very, very soon anyway.
Very much could be. I think that there's a really good chance of that. We can briefly touch on Bayley about what is next. Like, I think, yeah, put her in the ring with someone like a Julia and see where that program could go. I think that could be quite entertaining. The one other thing that I think they might have to consider with her is that you might have to actually turn her heel again.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Because when she had that first stint as a villain, it did work. Like, I wasn't watching the product religiously at the time, but I do remember reading like things on message boards and on social media and what have you. People were buying into it, and the matches themselves were good. Maybe that's an angle they might have to take, because, well, Lyra, we think, is going to go over against Becky. Becky then may take time off. There's then your next opponent. Two faces don't always work. Two heels actually can work, but face heel is the way that it's done. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it has to go.
Yeah, we'll need to wait and see.
We will. Which, we're actually getting on a fair bit. I cannot believe that we managed to spend this amount of time talking about wrestling, but we have one other match. Quite a long match, granted. I think it was about 35 minutes long, because it is about 4 matches in one. So if anyone's still here in the comments, let us know if you're still kicking about here. We much appreciate you guys all downloading and streaming us. We did have then the number one contenders gauntlet, something that we'd actually spoke about as you just don't get number one contenders matches anymore. Well, they went, here's 4.
Yeah,
and they just chucked them all in the one, and on you go. So we had Braun Breaker, who starts, who is facing Penta. Penta then gets knocked out by him. It then comes up against was it LA Knight? LA Knight gets papped out. Braun continues on. Then Jey Uso appears. He then gets papped out because the other Braun appears and helps get him over. And then CM Punk comes down like what can only be described as a man possessed. and eventually, and I think it doesn't make Braun look weak. He has in effect beat pretty much the rest of the main contenders that are kicking about that aren't injured right now in the scene, to then be beat by the one who's still standing, and CM Punk then wins. Do you think then that it is going to be Punk that goes over against Gunther? And do you think that this was always the intended plan for whoever had that belt? If the Goldberg match had happened, didn't happen, was the plan for him always to go over? Or this Seth Rollins shaped hole in the main event, has it then left him to pivot slightly?
This is what makes me think Seth Rollins' injury is a shoot. This is where the pessimist in me comes in. He's openly said multiple times he will do everything he can to stop CM Punk becoming a world champion. He will cash in that briefcase if he is not injured at SummerSlam and cost Punk the title. And I honestly cannot wait to see it. Punk won't win his world title until WrestleMania. It's written for him to win it at Mania. But the injury angle makes sense when you see how the world title picture plays out beyond it. I've only got a couple of comments really for the actual gauntlet match itself. I feel really bad for Penta because when you're at first against Braun Breaker, you're not a believable winner of that match.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think if they wanted Penta to be more believable, LA Knight should have been first, given the history with the faction recently. Why was Jey Uso doing his entrance mid-match is another question I have.
And then ran it back. Hold on a minute. They've got guys standing right here. Would you not just go and spear him immediately?
It was very, very odd to watch him run back the yeets in the middle of the match, but certainly a strange one. Obviously, Punk wins the gauntlet, which I think is the right call. But the optimist in me then says, if Seth was going to be the world champ, why would you not pivot and put Braun Breaker in the picture? I think I now know why we didn't put Braun Breaker in the picture, because my QB1 returns at the end of the match.
OTC1.
Yeah, that's absolute garbage. Whoever wrote OTC1 versus QB1 should be fired instantly. But I cannot wait for Braun or Bronze versus Roman Reigns, whichever iteration of B&B Security is going to take him on. I do think it will be Roman and Jey versus Braun and Braun at SummerSlam. I think that's where we're headed.
I think so.
Which will be a really good match. So the pop that he gets just shows he's the last real star in the company, I think. And it's time to fly some new ones. Cena will do it when he goes out on his sword at the end of his run. Roman will do it. Orton will do it when he goes out in a couple of years. It's time to bring some new names in the mix, and I think two of them may be in the ring with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
It's highly possible. And I think it's a really good match to bring him back in. He's been off for 4 months? Is that about right? 4 months?
It's been a while.
5 months?
Yeah.
So there's going to be that level of ring rust. It's a good way. We all know, you can protect people in a tag match. You're basically given half the time in the ring, so you can get yourself back up to speed. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy can go still, but you do always wonder, he's eventually getting to that age and he's almost a part-time worker. There's always going to be that point where you slow down. But it was good to see him back. Fascinated to see how that goes. He will be in the proper main event scene, you would imagine, soon. Probably post SummerSlam. Though I think there's chat that he might be off again.
He is filming a movie in August.
I see.
He does have plans to film, but also our other world champion is not scheduled to be back till September. So could it be Roman and Cena when they come back from shooting the respective film? So
it could be,
because Cody Rhodes cannot win at SummerSlam, for the love of God.
Especially when he too is also shooting a film. He is Guile in Street Fighter, which is a bit on the nose. I'm not going to lie.
It's the same film that Roman's shooting, is it not?
I think so. I think he's in it too. I think that's how they actually casted him. I'm pretty sure they just kind of went to the same talent agency and went, "Can we have him too, please?" and that's where they've got them from. But no, that'll be interesting. I think when you've got a couple of these guys all missing out,
Yeah.
it is almost going to force them to make some new stars because
Yeah.
so many of them are going to be posted missing. So cannot wait to see where they go from here. Which then leaves us, actually, for once this week, with a difficult job.
Not for
Not
me.
just because there's two of us, but the Golden Shovel Award, the eponymous, as Saunders likes to call it, award that we give to the booking decision, result, performance that leaves us scratching our heads. Now, this has been a particularly good week of wrestling. So, as the host, I'm actually going to take a step back purely because I can't actually really think of one. And Daz, you are going to award the Golden Shovel. I'm going to I'm going to bestow that honour to you. Who have you got for us this week?
Oh, it's a good question. I will not be handing it out to a female talent. Every single one of them showed
I think
out.
that's fair.
If I could give the opposite award and praise someone through the roof, it's Sol Ruka, 3 matches in 3 nights. Incredible
big
effort. I'm going to give the Golden Shovel to
Dun, 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 dun.
the referee in the Seth Rollins LA Knight match.
Oh.
Only because...
Was she not a woman?
Because,
you said you weren't going to give it to a woman.
Do you know what? No, you're right.
Slanderous.
You're right. I'll back up on that. I'm just going to give it to the LA Knight and Seth Rollins match. And it's only leaving me scratching my head because there's been nothing official about whether or not it's a legitimate injury. Some are saying 10 months. Well, I mean, there's nothing official. So I'm going to give it to that because it does leave me scratching my head about the future of the faction as well as the future of the briefcase. Because if it's 10 months, we know we're not getting it till Mania, basically, the cash in.
Yes.
So it just makes his cash in predictable because it gives him such a small window to do it in. So I'm interested, but that's probably going to get the Golden Shovel just because, I mean, it could be just a brilliant work, and that's why I'm giving it the Golden Shovel. But for me, it's the only decision over the last weekend that's made me wonder what is actually going to happen next.
You heard it here, folks. That match buried alongside some of the other previous ones as the women's division on SmackDown and the women's division on SmackDown, but they all showed up and everything was all hunky dory and rosy this week. So I'm not gonna bait too much. I'm not gonna point and poke. Which then leaves us with just one thing to say: thank you, as always, folks at home, for listening, for watching, downloading, streaming, watching it on TikTok, wherever you guys are. Support is much appreciated, as always. Even as a 2-man band this week, I think we're a 2-man band next week as well. I think that we've had a really good fun
with our host David when he's back.
Yes,
yeah,
he'll be back, and I will be missing in action next week. But you know, ahead of time. So I only have really one thing left to say, and it's to thank Daz for joining me this evening. Hope that you've had as much fun as I have.
Your little step out of development into the main roster has went down a treat, Ross, so thank you.
So you're now going to write me off television next week and then pap me back to NXT
You're
as is
actually
tradition
going on to TNA next week.
Dear God. At least that's... Nah, I can't even say that. I'll just leave that. Anyway, as always, folks, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you all next time.
Peace.